Are you good to go, Chuck?
Good.
So before I start my talk today on expanding awareness, there's a 3-minute video that I just want to show you, and I'm going to leave you with your own thoughts and then go right into the talk. We can discuss it later if you like.
Whoa. That's that Tesla going into space.
Yeah.
Can you turn the volume up?
Did you ever feel like a yo-yo?
Wow.
So I want to leave you with your own thoughts, and I'd love to have discussion in the social hall afterwards about that. Because when I first saw it, I was just in awe. So I'm going to start my talk, expanding awareness. So you've all heard me talk here before, and most of my talks, I always address the practical aspect of it, stepping outside your comfort zone. Who are you? But today we're going to take a little bit of a different journey. Yes. And, okay, I'll just have to hold these here then. It's important to me that no matter what lessons I learn, wisdom, what books I read, what teachers I follow, that there's always a practical aspect to it, and that I can apply it to my everyday life to enhance my life. And that's what I hope to offer you today, even though it's very different, to hopefully show you that it's all connected and it can help us to find and live our purpose in life. So you know that I'm kind of grounded, right? I think I am anyway. But the experiences I want to share with you today happened to me. They were my experiences. And since then, I have little by little opened up and talked to other people who have had similar types of experiences. And this is all about doing meditation, being in nature, and discovering that there's so much more than what is right in front of us in our awareness. So awareness could be, this is all that I'm aware of, right? It could be that now I'm aware of everyone here in this room. It could be that I am aware of everything outside of this space. And like the video, way up into the universe, it's infinity. And that's what I'm going to address today. My first experience occurred when I was probably about 12. And I awoke to see an apparition of Jesus standing at the foot of my bed. I remember not being afraid, but being my usual self, always inquisitive. I said, "Who are you?" And the response was, "I'm Jesus." I was like, "Okay," and I went back to sleep. Now, I went about my life in the little village where I lived, playing, going to school, and I was allowed to attend all kinds of different churches and had different religious experiences. And so I always thought, well, why Jesus? I've been to the Hindu, the Muslim, the Catholic, why? And then I just let go of the questioning. But however, I started to notice something even as a child in my daily life, that my awareness of my little surroundings as a child started to expand. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't have the language to give it, but it was definitely there. I would go about my daily life, but there was this little awareness, this connection out there. So since as children, I love children. They're just so open and adventurous. I just allowed the visions to occur without stopping them, and a whole new world opened up. I noticed that whenever I climbed my favorite tree, or I laid in the sugarcane fields, or even sat at the butt end of a cow, which I had to do, to pick up the dung to patch up my house, even doing that, I found that I would just disappear into a space that had like colors of light, white and blue, and just shadowy figures. And it just filled me with a sense of calmness and a knowing that I belong. Still not quite understanding it all. And as I said, I was able to attend all the different churches, all the different celebrations. So I grew up being very open to all different cultures. But I knew in my heart that this other plane of existence was important. I just knew it was important. I didn't know why. And I felt lovingly nudged to continue to explore. A few years later, my family and I moved to America. And being in unfamiliar territory, I spent most of my time looking for ways to fit into this new way of life, connecting with kids at school, trying the American cuisine, which was very different from what I grew up with, and for the first time recognizing my attraction to the opposite sex. So I had strayed from my experiences on this other plane of existence, and also my connection with nature, because here I was thrown into a city, living in a motel room with my family, and just not having nature around me. And after many challenges, which helped me to grow, I just began to feel that pull again, that I had to connect, I needed to connect. It was always this pull inside of me. Something was lacking and missing. So I finally found a park with some quiet spaces where I could be alone. And as soon as I sat under a tree and closed my eyes, I was there in that space, feeling safe, feeling calm, and knowing that I belonged. That's what was missing. So I realized that by being in nature really helped me to connect with everything around me and beyond. So over the next few years, my family moved, kept moving around to find a place where, we could settle. And we ended up in California. We moved to Georgia, we ended up in California. So over the next few years, we were getting settled and trying to find our way, being in California in 1970, I believe it was, yes. And it was here that I met my husband, my ex, and raised my own family, and when my experiences sort of picked up pace. During that period of time, I began to have like many guides and angels that made themselves known. But by this time, I was meditating every morning, and I would wake up in the middle of the night, whether I wanted to or not, and I was being told, if I didn't write, I could not go back to sleep. And of course, I sat there with, write? What do you mean write? Help me out here, don't just say write. And so I just picked up a pen one night because I was so tired every day, I didn't get enough sleep. I picked up a pen and I would just start writing, whatever came to me. I ended up writing some poems, and some other things that came about. But after that, even if it was 2 or 3 lines, I could go to sleep after that. So I was like, okay, somebody else is in charge here. My dreams also took me on many journeys, and I made connections to souls who had transitioned from their physical bodies. The first time was a very shocking experience. I had just stepped out of a shower, and there standing in front of me was a family member that I didn't even know that well. And I just stood there, and this smile came on her face, and she said, I just came to say goodbye. And so I stood there a while longer, going, okay, no, I'm not on any drugs right now. I'm okay. I started going down the checklist. And I walked away from that. Well, this started to happen even more. I'd be doing laundry, and someone who had just passed away would show up, and it would always be the same thing. Just came to say goodbye, and a smile. Well, hiding that from everyone, I started questioning myself. What's going on? And then I started searching. The internet was kind of new back then, but I started searching, reading books, and maybe once in a while trusting someone I could talk to and say, this stuff is happening. Help me here. What's going on? I need to understand. So after many more sightings, I said, okay, you know what? I guess this is normal. I guess I can see dead people. Okay. So I was told by a well-known medium that I met by chance one day, and she took my hand and she said, you were born to be a medium. And I just stepped back and I shied away from the idea because all the fears and the doubts that life experience had taught me just overwhelmed me. And this was really outside my comfort zone, so I just walked away from that particular situation. I now began to question all my experiences, and I felt all alone. I really did. I felt very lonely. And just afraid to share. I didn't want to be judged. I am a little bit out there, but I didn't want other people to know that. So my experiences just kept intensifying. And what would happen through my meditations, I noticed, is that I would go to different levels. I would sit, close my eyes, and all of a sudden I'm in this space. And then someone would show up. And of course, being inquisitive always, it's like, who are you? Well, I'm Michael the Archangel. I'm Saint Germain. I am Melchizedek. And so this started happening. And the more I meditated every single day, it would be like, okay, you're going on another journey today. And so I just started surrendering to that, but all the while keeping most of it to myself, like, okay, I can't really share this with others, even some of my family members. So I finally, in my meditation one day, I am in this space, and it felt comfortable, it felt very safe, and again, okay, what is this? Who are you? Why am I here? And basically what I got immediately was, this is the temple of knowledge and wisdom. And this is your spiritual hub and many others. So we all have a spiritual hub that we sort of go to. It's a space. Well, that's what it was for me, my experience. It's a space where I can go and I can talk to guides, angels, I can ask questions, I can talk about what's going on in my life. And then I started to notice what was important for me was that information I was getting there as I started to bring it back into my everyday life and apply it, that space would expand and grow, and I would go to another level, and I'd come back with more information. And then my life would sort of keep moving forward. So I started to realize this connection, like, wow, okay, this is cool. You know, if I apply this information and this wisdom and the messages I was getting here and not be afraid of it, then my life here would move forward, and I could move through all my challenges. So once I realized that this was my spiritual hub, and it allowed me to learn and to grow spiritually and to travel beyond, I started asking, you know, all the questions. And the first one, like I said, I asked was, how can this assist me in my everyday life? And I still to this day feel that the most powerful thing that we can do is ask for help. Ask, how can this help me? How can these people help me? How can this space help me? And once we do that, guess what? The answers come flowing in. The people show up, the things show up. So be okay with asking. Ask and you shall receive. I'm sure you guys have heard that one before, right? It became very clear that as I attained wisdom from that realm, and I kept growing on those levels, that I could move through my earthly challenges and be grounded and be here and work and be a responsible human being and connect with my community. But it helped me to move through my challenges much easier. I had seen both worlds as separated, but I was wrong. They were one and affected each other. So, like I said, we can see our awareness can be right here, it can be outside of here, but I have learned that it's way beyond, and it's all connected, and it's all one. It was at this point that I would check in with my angels, my guides, and again, being inquisitive and wanting answers, I had to ask everyone's name. And I would say things like, well, I'm not going to have a conversation with you unless you give me a name. And I would get a name, again, ask, right? So all the information I needed, all the guidance I needed to apply to my everyday life just started to flow in. And there was no more barriers. Everything became just one. It was just this flowing energy. So I kept shifting and shifting to other levels, and to this day, I keep journeying, and it changes all the time. And I have stopped asking why, where am I going, what's going to happen? I don't. I just sit, I close my eyes, and just I allow myself to just go with the flow, to just be. And it's amazing what opens up. So I'm even shown, and you can see my hesitation in sharing this with you, but now you all know me well enough. I was even shown, and this was just a few months ago, all of a sudden I'm in this space and I stop, and I'm seeing like energy just moving around, and so I said, where am I? And immediately, it's not like a voice you hear, it's just something within. You're in the 12th dimension. And I said, 12th dimension? Wow. And you know, I hadn't read anything about that, didn't know anything about that, so I said, okay, why am I here then? And all of a sudden I see this energy, and there's like a tunnel. And then this female voice, like a motherly, warm female voice says, this is where you come through when you were born. And when you're ready to leave this plane of existence, this is where you re-enter. Of course, I started to back up in my vision. I'm backing up.
Not yet.
I'm not ready to go yet. No, that's okay. I just wanted you to see. Anyway, from that point on, since then, in the last few months, I can now choose. And that was the other thing. To me, the powerful message was that we get to choose. So if you ever find yourself, you know, somewhere out there and going, no, it's not my time, we get to choose. We get to choose. And that, to me, that was the most powerful message for me. So of course, immediately I said, okay, good, I'm not ready. Thank you. So as usual, I asked myself this question: why does all this matter? And for me, the answer was quite simple, that if we're open and we trust our experiences, that we can live more joyfully, knowing that there's no beginning and there is no end. All is connected, not just on this dimension that we experience every day, but beyond. It's just fascinating to just open your mind and just let it go and trust your experiences. Speaking of, not ready to walk through that tunnel yet. Just the other day with the earthquakes, I'm sure you guys experienced the earthquake around here?
Yes.
Well, I was up in the mountains and it was intense there. And I have to admit, with all of this information, I still had a few minutes where I said, okay, this feels like it. This feels like it when the whole house is moving and creaking. And I kept saying, remember I said, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. So, and I did. I put that out there. And then I was able to take a breath and feel some sense of relief. However, afterwards, when it was over, I sat and I thought, okay, so if it happened, remember that you had this experience, that everything is connected, it's full circle. So you're not going anywhere. You might just take a break for a while and you might come right back and start all over again. And that gave me some peace, some relief, So then I started making, like bargaining, like, okay, so can I come back? Can I come back then and have my same family? Because I'll do it all over again with them. Can I have my same grandkids? Can I have my same spiritual center? So we'll see what happens. Maybe when it is time, way down the road from now, I hope we all see each other again. So for me, nature is my temple because again, when we connect with nature, for me, it just takes me on a journey way beyond what's around us, right? So I always use nature to help me be in those quiet moments and to just observe without judgment. And my awareness expands and I experience this loving guidance. Now I still question it sometimes. Okay, am I making this up? Am I, and sometimes I do that. But I finally realized that it doesn't really matter because all these experiences have helped me to live my life with purpose, to be fully present here, to not just say I am this or that, but to actually be a kind person, to be a loving person, to just be in that place of being. And this is what has helped me to do that. And so I hope that when I'm around you that I can be all of these things. I can be love, I can be light, I can be wisdom, I can just be. So I invite you to go and be still in nature. And she'll teach you many new things and show you many, many levels of awareness. So I'd like to do a quick meditation, just a very short meditation to take you into that place within, but to help you expand your awareness beyond your comfort zone. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and as you take that breath of life, follow that breath of life within your body. And feel that life force as it moves all the way into your body, awakening, awakening. And then go wherever you usually go as you sit in stillness and you meditate. Whether it's into your heart, whatever works for you. Some of us are visual, some of us we need to hear something, or we can just simply feel something. So whatever it is that works for you, go to that place. And once you go there, I want you to imagine a light, but it's a small light, like a dot. And as you focus on the light, it just expands. It expands and fills your whole body. And it keeps expanding until it expands outside of you. Now that light is surrounding you. And allow that light to keep expanding into this room. So now it includes everyone else. And now even further beyond this space where we are now. Just let that light keep expanding. Knowing that this is all you. You're a part of that light. You're a part of everyone here. You're part of everything beyond here. And let that light take you safely and have you journey all the way out into the universe. Wow, how powerful is that to know that you are a part of all of that. And that's all a part of you. That's so empowering. So that from now on, when you have challenges, any of the everyday stuff that we might be dealing with, take a breath, focus on that light, and let it expand. And I think in that knowing, in that understanding that you are infinite, you are connected to everything in this universe. And we can call it God, we can call it Spirit. It doesn't really matter what we name it. We are powerful. We are powerful. So let that light fill you today. And I hope that from now on you will remember that no matter what you're dealing with, you'll take a breath and you'll see that light expand and know that you are not alone. You are never alone on this journey. So take a deep breath now and bring your awareness back. And just really feeling some kind of expansion beyond, where we normally function. And that's what I want you to take away with you today. To feel and to know that expansion. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.